Chapter 18. I sat on the white bed in the all-white guest room in Mrs. Gladstone's house and really felt like a visitor. It was the kind of room that forced you to make the bed and pick up your dirty clothes, even though it was against your nature. I hugged my knees and wondered what it would have been like if Harry Bender had been my father. I saw him taking me out in the backyard when I was small and teaching me all about shoes. I saw him feeding me little bites of barbecue when I was a baby. Mostly I saw him just being there, someone you could count on who shot hoops with you after dinner, someone who came to your school plays even though you were playing non-speaking tall parts, like trees and giant lizards, someone who understood that what kids need most from their fathers is for them to be available and loving. I curled under the covers and opened the letter my mother had sent me. "Hello out there," it began. "I have told Faith she cannot have your room, despite the fact that she offered me money. I suppose we all have our price, but she was going to have to do a whole lot better than $27. We are shouldering work, life, and Chicago humidity with the usual grace and sophistication. I'm working too hard as usual. People continue to do stupid things to themselves and others, so sadly, business in the emergency room is booming. I wonder sometimes if I'm seeing such a jaded part of life here day after day that it muddies my view of humanity. Part of me longs for a normal job, but I've tried to drop normal from my vocabulary because I have come to the conclusion, rightly or wrongly, that there is no such thing. I wonder what you are learning and seeing on the road, Jenna. Knowing you, it will be quite a lot. I hope that your part of this trip is bringing you peace and understanding in addition to the much needed time away. On a more complex note, I need to tell you that we've had to change our phone number to an unlisted one because your father has been calling late at night and he's not been in the best form. I know this is hard news to hear when you're away, but for safety's sake, I wanted you to have our new number, 555-7790. It will be installed next week. Faith is handling this, so am I. It's unfortunate that your dad's problems continue, but for now on, an unlisted number seems to be the best way for us to deal with them. Don't worry about us, Jenna. We're doing fine. If you want to talk, you can call me at home or at the hospital. I think of you a dozen times each day and wish you grace, strength, and wisdom on your journey. Love always, Mom." A sickening anxiety washed over me. I looked at the white phone on the bedside table. I tried to swallow. I couldn't. I felt a panic take hold. I shouldn't have left. I had to call her. I reached for the phone. My hand froze above the receiver. I closed my eyes and remembered myself as a little girl. The phone rang. Dad was drunk. Told me to answer it. Say he wasn't home. "I don't want to, Daddy." "Do it." I walked to it slowly, hoping it would stop ringing before I got there. No such luck. "Hello," I said, small and scared. "I'm looking for Jim Boiler." It was always an angry voice. I gulped, looked at my father who was staring at me. "He's not here." "When will he be back?" the voice demanded. I don't know." "Can you take a message?" "I can't write good yet." Click, the angry voice hung up. I stood there like someday my lying was going to catch up with me. "Good girl," Dad said. "That wasn't so bad, right?" I ran into the other room to play with my plastic animals that I kept in a box under my bed. Once Grandma got me a miniature phone so my animals could talk on it, but I gave it back to her because the animals didn't like it. I shook the memory from my mind, grabbed the phone near the bed, punched buttons, waited, hoping I wouldn't sound as nervous as I felt. The hospital receptionist switched me to the ER, and finally I got Mom. "We're fine, honey," was the first thing she said. I could hear someone groaning in the background, the sound of racing footsteps. "You're busy?" I said, feeling stiff. "A car accident." I knew she couldn't talk. "Do you want me to come home, Mom?" "Of course not." "Is Dad all right?" "I don't think he means to do these things." "Right now, Jenna, I'm just dealing with the fact that he does them." I can hear a man say, "Carol, we need you." "Be right there," Mom said. "Can I call you tomorrow, Jenna? Are you all right?" "I'm okay. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow." Carol, said the man insistently. It's okay, Mom. We'll talk. I'll write you a long letter. I love you, sweetie. I love you too. I didn't get to ask her about Grandma. I sat on the bed holding the letter. The weight of it rolled over me. I thought about how Mom had crawled out from such a painful marriage, how she'd pushed herself to look at the things she needed to change. If you set your mind and heart toward a healthy way of living and thinking, Harry Bender had said, you'll find a way to climb out of the biggest pit life throws your way. Then, for some reason, I saw myself as a little girl again. The phone rang. Dad told me to answer it, say he wasn't home. This time, I dug my red sneakers into the blue braided rug and said no. Not this time, Daddy. The next day, Mrs. Gladstone and I had a fight about her thinking I needed a day off and me saying I didn't. You need to rest, she hollered. You've been on duty day and night. I'm not too good at resting. It makes me nervous. Now, what in the world are you saying? Alice came out of the other guest room in the midst of it, looked me up and down like I needed fumigating, and held up a small pair of scissors. It's time, honey, she said. You need bangs. No, but retired shoe models get pushy. She plopped me down on a bench in the hall in front of a floor-to-ceiling gold mirror. Just a few wispy bangs, she said, lifting my hair off my shoulders and letting it fall. It'll frame your face so nicely, give you some softness, won't hurt a bit. I said, I'm not sure about this, as she parceled out my hair over my forehead. Alice stood back. I'm sure. I was the lead hairstylist at the Queen for a Day beauty salon and nail emporium for 7 years before I went into shoe modeling. My customers begged me to stay. They were hanging onto my arms on my last day, weeping themselves silly. You'd have thought somebody died. I groaned, closed my eyes. I hated the sound of snipping scissors close to my face. She snipped a bit more, stood back, more still. I'm taking some off the sides, she said, not asking. Hairdressers never do. If they touch your hair, they think they own it. Not much, I pleaded. She took some off the sides, some off the back to even it out. By the time she was done, I was close to being a different person. Very nice, said Mrs. Gladstone. But Alice Lovett, retired shoe model, wasn't satisfied. She dragged me out the door in search of green clothing.